today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to build a bike from the ground up. Coming up. Okay, so this is the bike I'm going to be switching to. I'm sure you guys have seen this in some of my videos before, but I felt like switching back to it because I just love the color, and I like the fact that it has a standing platform, which gives you a lot of extra room to do other tricks. Okay, I'm going to start by cleaning up this old bike, so I'll throw a time lapse in here and you can kind of see that. Okay, now that I've got it all clean, I'm going to start by removing the brakes, I've got both front and rear brakes, so this is going to take a minute. So I'm going to start with the gyro cables and then work my way down to the front cable and then go from there. First of all, you just want to snip off any extra things like zip ties, something like that. That way, you know, you got everything free and loose. Then you want to take your 10mm and you want to loosen up those bolts here. Loosen up the bolts here so that you can get the cables off. Okay, so you want to take your 10mm, and I like to use the 3-way like this because it has an 8, 9, and a 10 on it, and is most common used wrenches on a bicycle, so this comes in real handy. So I start with this right here. Just loosen this up, get it as loose as you can, pull the cable out. Now you're probably going to have to cut that off later just so it'll go through. Okay, then you want to take your barrel adjusters and just loosen them up all the way until you can pop it out like that. And it'll just pop right out. Set everything aside if you're going to use it again, especially. Okay, then you want to go up to the top cable, and this is actually pretty easy. All you really got to do is loosen everything up. But make sure that the barrel adjuster is lined up in that slot that's there. I'll show you here real quick. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little slot right in here and here. If you've got this on a laptop or your TV, you might see it a little better. But you just line up that slot and it pulls right out. Then all you got to do is loosen up these barrel adjusters again. Slide this out. Here, let me give you a better view. Okay, so you loosen up these barrel adjusters right here. See if I can turn it on this side where you can get a better view. There we go. Okay, so just loosen this up all the way, and that'll make that loose. There you go, and that's your gyro cables. They're off. See? Then the next thing you want to do is take your 10mm again and loosen this up and get this straddle cable off. First you just take this and set it aside. Then you loosen this up. Alright, you may have to, if it's got a cable end on it, you may have to snip it, or you might have to just pull it off. So I grabbed a set of pliers and I'm just going to pull it through there, and it took the cable end off. And there we go. And save that for later. Okay, now that you've got your brake cables off, you can start taking the brake itself off. And this is usually done with a 5mm. I like to use a socket because it just makes it easier to get in there and it doesn't get in your way. If you're wondering what I used, I had to use a 13mm right here to hold this on because it started coming loose. If you've got removable brake mounts, a lot of times you have to use another wrench to hold it on so that it doesn't come loose on you while you're trying to loosen up the actual bolt that holds the brakes on. And this thing's doing fine. But I gotta put pressure on it so that I can loosen it up. Okay, so I've got it finger loose now, and I can just pull this off. Make sure when this comes apart, you don't lose any parts, because it has a lot of little small parts to it. So, let me get this completely off. There we go. And this thing's being stubborn, so there we go. Alright, just make sure you hang on to all the parts. Set that aside. Okay, now you want to work on the front brakes. I'm gonna grab a 14mm and a 5mm Allen key. Hold this while you loosen it up. These are a little easier to work on because they're not in a tight spot. Okay, I forgot to mention you need to take off the cable first. So, take the cable off. And you can just take the cable end off with a set of pliers. Sometimes you can. There. Alright. Alright, the cable's off now. Okay, just for the sake of time, I took one arm already off. You want to do the same for the other side. Grab you a 14mm. Grab you the 5mm Allen wrench. It helps big time to have these kind of Allen wrenches. I highly suggest getting you a set because doing this stuff, you can do it with hand tools, but it takes forever. So it helps to have ratchets, helps to have power tools, whatever you can get, you know, just kind of build up your tool set from whatever. Start off slow and work your way up. Okay, so now we got the brakes off. Okay, so now that I've got the brakes off, the next thing I want to do is take the wheels off. Here we go. These back wheels can be a pain to get off. I made sure it was tight so it wouldn't move, but man. Okay, finally broke it loose. Had to loosen up that other side again, or tighten up the other side just so this side would come loose. It's pretty tight. There we go. All right, and just slide your thing forward. Then you can loosen up your chain. Careful taking it off so you don't pinch your fingers. Take it off the back. Yeah. Slide your rear wheel off. Yep. All right, the next major thing you want to focus on is the cranks. You're just going to need a 6mm Allen key for this and a rubber mallet. So look at that. The side just came right off. So now all I have to do is pull it up. Alright, again, make sure you don't lose any parts, make sure you know where they go. Okay, once you've done that, what you want to do is get the bearings out. This is a little tough, so you got to be a little careful with it, but you can actually take your socket extension and a hammer and get in there and come from the inside out, kind of wedge it like this, and then but you want to make sure you kind of do it evenly so you don't mess anything up. Starting to come out. Now, if you put your bike together with grease, when you put grease on things, it sure makes it taking apart so much easier. So that's why these things are coming out so easy. Then just go to the other side. Make sure you take out the race, which is this thing right there. This is a spacer, and it keeps everything together. It keeps your bearings from kind of smushing together as you tighten them up. Do not do this with a screwdriver because you will go right into the bearing seals and mess up the bearings. So do it with something kind of flat, which this works perfect. There we go. All right, the next thing you want to focus on is the front end, and that's going to be your forks, handlebars, and stem. And you can take those all off together if you're not planning on replacing any parts from that. So start with a headset. Okay, so you want to start with the 6mm Allen keys right here first, and you want to start loosening those. I want to loosen these up first. Make sure you get both sides. Then you should just be able to take your wrench. Haro makes these easy because all you have to do is take the wrench, stick it in there, and loosen it up like that. Now, make sure you're holding on to the forks while you do this because it can come loose. Once it's loose, those forks are going to want to fall. Okay, once you got that loose, you can take the stem and the forks, kind of loosen those up, which it's not always easy, so. Okay, you want to pry it as much as you can. Jeez. There we go. Set your handlebars aside. Take off your gyro if you got a gyro, or rotor, or whatever you want to call it. Take off the tops of the headset. Make sure you put everything in place where you know you can find it again. And then just ease out the forks. Take out the bottom bearing, make sure you take off the bottom bearing off the forks itself. Okay, now if you're going to replace your forks, here's something I wanted to show you. See this thing right here? This is like a bearing race, and if you're going to replace your forks, you need to take this off. You can tap it off lightly with a hammer and maybe like a piece of wood, or maybe even your socket extension or something like that. But make sure you don't damage it, and that will go on your new forks. But since we're using the same forks, we'll just leave it on there. Okay, the next thing you want to do is take off anything like if you run brakes like gyros or something like that, you're going to want to take your gyro tabs off, because those are going to go on your new frame, and if your frame doesn't come with them. So my frame that I'm switching to doesn't come with them, so I'm going to need to take these off. Okay, so that's going to be it for today's video. Obviously I didn't finish the whole thing. I'm going to cut it into 2 parts because it's getting kind of long. So stay tuned for the next video, and that will be the one on how we build it up from the ground up and swap all the parts back over and make it a new bike. Till next time, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, and peace.